It's the Jim Kelly Show with Buffalo Bills quarterback Jim Kelly and TV2 Sports Director Ed Kilgore. Brought to you by the Mancuso family of dealerships. Come join our family. And by Smith Boys Marine, now with 3 locations. If it isn't a Sea Ray from Smith Boys, you've missed the boat.
Welcome again to the Jim Kelly Show. And, you know, we had planned on having one from Miami in about 2 weeks. Unfortunately, Jim, I guess we're going to have to plan that one for the following year from now. But I know right now you hate to say wait till next year because you knew it was like so close so far, to use the old cliche.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that definitely hurts. I mean, we all thought that we could definitely pull it out, but we didn't get our offense in gear. I don't know if you want to say we were too conservative, but we just didn't do what the Buffalo Bills had to do. Going into the game, we thought we were going to have the same game plan as we did the previous week, but you know, field position killed us. I mean, when you start out the 1 yard line, the 5 yard line, the 6 yard line, it's really tough to get everything you want in your game plan into the ball game, and it definitely hurt us. It's something that you look back on and say, I wish we'd opened it up a little more, even though we didn't have the field position we wanted.
Well, I might ask you that now. I was going to ask you later, but since you bring it up there, in that third quarter, which was obviously the turning point in the ball game, you're only down by 4 at the half, backed up there after that long punt. It seems to me that even down there, it's risky to throw the ball, granted, and you know, you can hand them 6. By the same token, if you keep punting and giving an offense like that the ball at midfield or better, you know, it's like sooner or later they're gonna hammer it home.
It's exactly what I thought. I mean, I'm sure the coach had in the back of their mind too, but you know, I can't really say what was on their minds at the time. I got a little mad at one time. I came off. I let Coach Levy know, and then I went up to apologize to him later. It's something that I was kind of frustrated because in order to beat the Cincinnati Bengals, you got to put points on the board. You cannot put points on the board, run the ball right, left with the 2 tight end offense. And I was kind of disappointed. I know a lot of people probably were, some players were, but again, you got to do what you got to do and hope it works, and it just didn't work.
One of the things I was also surprised about, you came out, you used Mueller in the lone back position, and Thurman Thomas really didn't carry the ball much at all. I saw him limping around a little bit. I don't know if he was not 100%. I don't know if that was a factor, but I would think that the guy with the best yards per carry average on the team would be carrying the football early.
I don't know what situation was there, whether Thurman was hurt or I don't know. It gets to this point where you don't want to say anything because season's over, and hopefully everybody come back next year pumped up and ready to go.
Okay. Now here's something that's going to get you pumped up. You didn't see this. In fact, Jim hasn't seen this yet, but he's going to hear more about it, I'm sure. But this morning on the Today Show, which, by the way, Jim would have been on had the Bills been able to win that game, Chris Collinsworth made what I thought was just an incredible statement. Here you see Chris. Now, he's talking about the play where Derek Burrows got back at Tim McGee and Burrows lost his cool and was tossed out of the game, and it was a big play. But he says they went after Burrows' sore ankle purposely.
It's funny that this ended up being the game winner because Derek Burrows, on a route that I ran earlier, sprained his ankle. He had a bad ankle coming into the football game, and he re-sprained it and had to leave the football game earlier. So we went out, and I told Tim McGee, who really was matched up against Derek the entire game, I said, Tim, just go after his ankle. I know he's got a bad ankle. Just keep cutting his ankle. And I know he did. And eventually, and a couple of times during the game, I saw him. He was winding up and acting like he was going to hit him. But then I guess eventually he took a big swing, got the 15-yard penalty, and it ended up really being the difference in the football game.
Well, that's kind of a surprising thing to say. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Some of those things you just got to keep to yourself. It's something that hopefully won't backfire against Chris, because I know him personally. I go to his golf tournament. He comes up to me as a super guy, but things like that are better left unsaid and unspoken, because hopefully it won't backfire against him.
Don't they come here next year?
Sure do.
Circle that date on the calendar when the schedule comes out. That's going to be kind of interesting. And getting back to the Derek Burrows thing before we show some of the highlights here. Still, though, no excuse for losing your composure. I know Marv Levy, one of the things he stresses is don't be dumb and don't be dirty. And Derek Derek apologized today, but of course the damage is done.
Yeah, definitely the damage has been done. It's something when you're in a big game like that, you can't do things like that. It's just, I'm sure, after a while, somebody going after you, you're going to get, temper's going to flare a little bit and you're going to go after them. And a lot of times something like that's going to happen. You just got to hold back. And maybe that guy just tempted him too much and he just couldn't handle it as far as going after him. And who knows if they would have did it to another player, they might have did the same thing. You can't really point out one thing, what really turned the ball game. There's a lot of things that we did wrong, that, some penalties that kept drives alive. The thing with Derek Earl Tucker not fielding a punt. But as far as fielding punts, we had that happen too much to us this year. When that's what he's back there for. He's supposed to get a fair catch, get the ball, give us good field position. I think last year I think we averaged like a minus 16 yards. Every time we let a punt go, we lost 16 yards. I think this year we probably might have been better, maybe 20 yards.
Well, it seems to be a contagious thing. It didn't matter. It wasn't only Earl Tucker all year. You had several different people back there because he was hurt much of the year. But it seems, I think that's a good point, that that's the one part of the Bills' special teams, and they maybe arguably are the best special teams unit overall in coverage in the league. But yeah, you've got to have a return game, and that play particularly killed you.
We were hurt all year by field position. I mean, our kickoff return team did all right. Our punt return did 0. I mean, we probably were one of the worst in the league. We were probably 28th. If I had to guess, we'd probably at dead last. It's something we got to get better at. In order for an offense to function and be able to do what they're supposed to be, you got to have some field position. We didn't get hardly any out of our special teams as far as punt return.
Yeah, of course, Jim, a good example of that was the Houston game when you did get some good punt returns in that game, and you did have that excellent field position.
Kickoff returns, too.
Same thing. Home field, people keep talking about home field advantage, home field advantage. I remember you made the comment here one night. You were sort of wistfully saying that we should have never let that home field get away. But that's something the football team, I guess, maybe has to learn the hard way. But if you had the home field this time, in my mind, I think, and taking nothing away from Cincinnati, I think you would have beaten them. I don't see them.
We would have beat them bad. Our defense was ready for this game. With our home field advantage, our fans, the way we play at home, there's no possible way Cincinnati would have beat us. I mean, we just couldn't do the things we wanted to do. I couldn't audible as much as I would have liked. I don't know what, but just a gut feeling that we let the Super Bowl slide away by not having the home field advantage.
I agree. Okay, we're going to be back and look at some of the highlights and the lowlights of the Bills' AFC Championship game against the Cincinnati Bengals. I suppose you can rehash this game forever and ever, but one of the things, Jim, that was a key, I thought, was Bruce Smith getting hurt early. Now, let's take a look here. Bruce came out. He was having like a lifetime game. He was whipping Munoz and anybody else in there. He had like 3 sacks early.
Anybody came close to him. I mean, there's just unbelievable. Bruce just had one of his best games, and it definitely hurt when he, I think it was his thigh. I thought it was his lower part of his knee, but it was his thigh, so he's all right.
Art Still, 9 tackles.
Art, I mean, last week 12, this week 9. Art's definitely a trade that's helped us big time.
Here we see the interception as Odoms gets his hand on it, and then Bentley dives. And
Nate Odoms had an interception since he's been a Buffalo Bill.
I think he's had, one that I can remember.
Nate, he's noted for having good hands, and every time I see him around the ball, he covers receivers pretty good. And it's something that a lot of people thought that Nate should have been Pro Bowl material too.
Well, I'm sure, again, a lot of times they just look at the numbers, the voters do, and so he didn't have the interceptions. Now, here on the first possession here, you have a ball intended for Ronnie Harmon, and it's tipped. And
yes, a ball throw that I like to have back. I just threw it a little bit high, but Ronnie, he tried to knock it down. I guess he saw the guy there. He didn't want to go up with 2 hands and try to catch it, but it's a ball that I just threw too high.
Was there any, early in the game, in a game this big, biggest game you've ever played in your career, did you have butterflies? Or did you notice it once the game started?
I don't get butterflies. I get a little nervous as far as, my pregame warm-up. What I usually do is throw up. But
I was not going to, you know what, I had heard that before. I wasn't going to bring it up on the show, but since you did, yeah.
But, it's something that I'm more excited than I'm nervous. It's a feeling that, hey, this is fun. This is what we've wanted to do ever since I was a little kid. We're in a situation right now that everybody's worked for and wants to be in it, and I was more excited than nervous.
All right, now then, here's another pass where you're intending it for Trumaine, and here's another one I'm sure you'd like to have back.
This one, there was a timing pattern, and I threw right behind him, and I don't know why True just didn't turn around, but that was my fault. I threw that. It was a timing pattern where I thought he was going to be, and he cut it back inside, and it was just a little miscommunication between myself and Trumaine.
Now, at this point, I know you're a very confident guy, Jim, but you're in an AFC Championship game. You've thrown 2 interceptions already, and you've got all this game to go. I mean, what do you do to keep yourself
do what
settle down.
Do what what got you there. I mean, you have to take what they give you, and it's just a matter of getting my mind back on the right frame. And you're going to throw interceptions. I know people are probably tired of hearing people say throw interceptions or people fumble on his running back, but you got to just forget about it. It's part of the ball game. You don't want to do it, but in a situation where you do throw 2 interceptions, you still have the whole game ahead of you. I mean, it's only 7-0 at that point. Interceptions don't usually, won't cost you a ball game if you can come back. We came right back down and threw a touchdown pass, got us back in the game, and just really never got the offense on track again because we really had a bad field position and killed us.
Now, speaking of that drive, it starts late in the first quarter, and here is a play. It looks like you're audibling here, and what happened?
Yeah,
How'd you do this?
I'm trying to tell the line of protection so everybody knows. I'm telling both sides of the line of protection. I tell Jamie, and the receivers already have it. Kent looks back, everybody's, because it was so loud. But it's definitely an audible, and we got him in the right defense, and was able to hit Andre up the middle for a big play.
That one covered 18 yards, and then now you go to Trumaine for 22.
I think it's, let me see if it's the same situation. Yeah, it's a post pattern by Trumaine. We hit him in the defense, perfect defense called. Trumaine ran a great route and was able to connect up with him. And something, we were able to take advantage of some of their defenses. A lot of times I would have liked to audible, but it was just too noisy. Plus, didn't have much time on the clock as far as the 45-second clock, and just couldn't get it done.
Obviously, you're aware of that clock. How much, when you come up to the line, do you just continue to keep checking it, or because you're thinking about what the defense is doing and the play that has to be run? So
it all depends. Different situations. Take for example, when you play at home, it's a lot easier because you can just yell out the signals for an audible and they can hear you. But when you play in somebody else's stadium, you have to look at the clock all the time because you want to go up there. Okay, do I have time to audible in case you're in a defense? You just look at it, and it just goes in, in your mind, and you know exactly what to do and when to do it.
Now you go to a little of the run and shoot here to throw the touchdown to Andre Reed.
Yeah, this is something that I did a lot in USFL on my 5th step, just exactly like back in the good old days, and Andre ran a good route and was able to hook up for 7.
So at that point, obviously very much in the ball game, it's 7-7. The Bengals, though, take it down, and they score. It's 14-7. Then another big play. Boomer is intercepted by Mark Kelso. Let's take a look at that play. Heads-up play.
Yeah, he steps. I think it's when he steps right in front of the pass, and the interception. Mark Kelso hurts his ankle here too. See, he should have followed his blockers there. He wouldn't have had a hurt ankle. But Mark's been doing a super job all year. He's one of our heads-up players. And he definitely is a big guy on our defense. He makes sure everybody's in the right place.
And here's Norwood, who missed an early one, but then he nails this one to make it 14-10.
That's why he's going to the Pro Bowl. I mean, he's had a super year. He missed a couple at the end of the season, but what he's done for our ball club is just unbelievable. He won a couple games for us.
All right, and we're going to be back to talk more about this football game in just a moment. Be right back. We earlier alluded to the fact that the punt return game really hurt. Now here's the play right here where Errol Tucker did not field the ball. Now I know the winds were swirling down there, Jim, and I'm not going to use that as an excuse.
Neither am I. Everybody asked me if it hurt the passing game. No, it didn't. And it's something he just made a bad judgment. It's something that in a crucial game like this, it's tough. You shouldn't let it happen. But it was a good job by that punter. He died right there on the 1-yard line, and it's something Earl would like to have that one back too, just like I'd like to have a couple of my throws back.
Do you think also in a championship game, though, this is something maybe young people have to learn, and although he's not a real young guy, but without that experience, of maybe not being afraid to make the mistake? I think in this instance, he might have been afraid. I can't speak for him, but in other words, you have to play to win. You can't be afraid to make a mistake, and maybe that was part of it. I don't know.
I could think of a couple of reasons. I mean, a couple of instances, too. Our offense. I mean, don't be scared to make the mistake. I even came off the field one time and yelled about, hey, just because I threw an interception, don't be running the ball right and left, with 2 tight end offense. I said, in order for us to win the game, we have to put the ball in the air. Our running game is not good enough at this point to be able to, go right, left all the time. Of course, through the course of the year, we had a couple games that we did do good with the run, but you have to, in our offense, with our team, we have to pass first, run second.
I know another frustrating thing had to be, especially in the second quarter, twice you throw the ball to Ronnie Harmon. One time you have a screen set up that looked like Big Gainer drops the ball. I mean, that's got to be tough to overcome.
Yeah, it is. I'm used to Ronnie drop. I mean, every game, I think he averages 1 or 2 drops a game. I mean, you know, you can hold back saying so much for a certain period, but, you know, of course, quarterback's going to make mistakes. He's going to throw an interception here, but passes are just right in his hands. I don't know if it's concentration or what, but he averages 1 or 2 drop passes a game. And, you know, I held back for saying that for so long, and it's just, hey, it's a fact.
Well, I think, yeah, you don't have to be, as they say, a blind man to see that, and I would agree with you there. Here's a play to Trumaine Johnson for 26 yards. You were still very much in the ball game, despite all the bad field position and everything else.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, and of course you know this too by watching and being at all of our games, that it's something that we never give up. We're a team that always will try to come back, and we've done it before. We had in our minds that we could do it. It's just a matter of putting it all together. And we did bring them back. You know, you go down the field, you know, a couple penalties, an interception. We killed ourselves, but one thing about the Buffalo Bills that we've learned, we're young, but we'll never give up, and we've pulled some games out before, and we thought we could pull this one out.
Here's the final play, actually, of that drive. I think it was it 4th down here?
Yeah, 4th and 10.
Yep.
It's something I saw Ronnie in the end zone, and the pass was, you know, it was high, but from watching film and that, it's a 4th down play, and he doesn't even make any attempt to even go after the ball, and that's one thing that was very disappointing to me, that, you know, it's 4th down. I have to put it where, you know, he can try to get it, and he didn't even make any attempt at trying to catch it.
Are you when you're out there throwing the football, are you conscious of numbers and who you're throwing the ball to?
No.
Not really.
Well, Ronnie is definitely one of our best pass route runners. He runs super routes. Maybe, you know, after this year we sit down and maybe go over some things. He has to start catching the ball a little better, but he definitely makes some one-handed catches. He makes some grabs, but he drops the easy ones. But Ronnie is the type of player when you get in a game and he's isolated one-on-one, it's a guy that you'd love to throw to. And, you know, you can lose some confidence every once in a while, too. And Ronnie's the type of player who won't listen to anybody. He's to himself. He, you know, stands.
Well, doesn't talk to
corner.
us, I know.
He doesn't talk to us either, so.
As Marv Levy once said, yeah, he said, I don't know if it hurts that he doesn't talk to the media because he doesn't talk to us.
But if he gets it all together, I'll tell you what, he could be one of the best receivers coming out of the backfield that I've ever seen. I mean, the guy runs awesome routes. I don't think there's anybody can cover him one-on-one, but again, you have to have the heart, too, to be able to go out there and do it, and you have to be able to catch the ball. And, like we talked about, I think we went on about it enough, so let's move on to something else.
All right, yeah, to another fun thing. Now, after the football game, the media, we were all back in the locker room, and, of course, we could hear all the what was going on then there, the big shouting match between Joe and Errol Tucker, which is certainly there's been enough written and said probably about that. But at the time, how did that affect you in the locker room? Now, you've just had a frustrating loss, and you see this going on. How did that affect you?
I just blew it off. It's just something else that happened to us during the course of the year. I just said, heck, you know, one more thing. I mean, the season's over. Everybody was frustrated. And, you know, it's something that's, you know, as far as Jim Kelly's concerned, I just let go in one ear and out the other. Fred Smirlis was in the middle of it. He was trying to pull Joe away. There's no way Jim Kelly was going to get in there and try to pull Joe Devlin off anybody.
No, I would agree with that. Okay, we're going to be right back. We're going to meet our jersey winner and wrap up the season here in just a minute. We're back again for what will be the final segment of 1989 here on the Jim Kelly Show. And Jim, you know, it was a terrific year. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. 13-5, you come one game away from winning a Super Bowl. 3 years ago, awful team, 2-14, as Bill Polian says, on merit. But to take that next step now, what do you think the club needs to do?
We need to go after a couple more players. We don't have any depth as far as the offense line. I think my offense line is super right now. We just need some depth in case something like Tim Vogler or something would happen to Tim Vogler again. We need some speed outside. You know, we have Andre Reed with great speed. You got Chris Burkett and Trumaine Johnson, which have awesome, you know, pretty good hands. But we don't have a burner. We need somebody to be able to stretch the defense, I think. And I think that is our main concern right now, getting some depth in our offense line, getting a speedy receiver.
How much of an effect do you think personnel had with the Bills? The Bills obviously have kept you a little bit under wraps this season. I mean, that's no secret to anybody. All you have to do is watch it, and you've been, for the most part, pretty quiet about it because you've been winning. But is it a fact, you think, that they put their eggs in the defensive basket and decided that maybe you can hold the fort on your own? And
There's
now
no doubt about it.
And it's sort of like now maybe some attention will be paid to helping you offensively. You think that'll happen?
Yeah, I think so. But the thing that concerns me is we don't have a first and second round draft pick, so we can't get any great player out of that. But as far as the offense is concerned, you know, they made the defense better, and that's what we needed to do. I think right now they have to go for some offensive talent, and whether it's going to be through the draft or through a trade, it has to be done. I mean, it's got to be done.
All right, because that final step to the Super Bowl is a big one. Okay, now we have with us Mike Lindner, 11 years old, from North Tonawanda. Mike is the winner of the jersey this week. Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
He was a little bit nervous, I can tell, because he had some questions he wanted to ask me, and he was almost forgetting what they were. I told him, this is fun, it's easy. So now's your time, big guy. You have any questions?
What is the best game you had all year?
Best game I had all year. There's probably a few that I played pretty well. I could probably think of bad games more than I could think of good games. Just kidding. No, definitely one of the best games was last week's game against Houston Oilers in a playoff game. And what a better what a better game to have it in. And it's something that you look through the course of a year, and you hope that can happen, 9, 10, 11 times a season. And any more?
What are you gonna do over the summer?
And what am I gonna do in my off season? Probably I'm going to head down to Miami for the Super Bowl. I went to college here at the University of Miami, and I'm going to visit a lot of my friends, take a nice vacation, go to Hawaii, enjoy myself. I'm not going for the Pro Bowl this year, but I'm going to go enjoy myself, and that's something I need to do, is rest myself, rest my arm, and rest this whole body, because I am one sore puppy today.
All right, now let's quickly, we'll exchange the
What do you have
the
here
items
for me,
here.
Mike?
A hat from my school, St. Christopher's.
All right, great, for my hat collection.
And a tape of all the kids at St. Christopher's School.
All right, what's on it?
They're all congratulating you for a good year.
All right.
Terrific.
What
That's
grade you
nice.
in?
Fifth.
Fifth grade, okay. And
You better hurry, Jim. We're running out of time. I wish we had that tape there. I wish I'd have known that, Mike. We'd have run it on the show tonight.
a shirt, too? Great.
We'll save it
How
for
about
next
a
year.
big switch? Eric can take off that one and put my game jersey on.
Okay.
There's a Bills key holder.
Thank you.
And a football that I'll autograph as soon as the show's over. Sound good?
Thank you.
All right, is there anybody you want to say a quick hello to?
My friends at St. Christopher's School, and
Your girlfriend.
Okay. Hey, thanks. Nice job, Mike. And we also want to thank the Mancuso family of dealerships, the Smith Boys Marine.
Yes.
Jim, I enjoyed it this year.
Pleasure.
And hopefully we'll see you next year again.
Sounds good. And I want to thank Mancuso and the Smith Boys, too.
Terrific. Okay, thanks for joining us. See you next year.
The Jim Kelly Show was brought to you by the Mancuso family of dealerships. Come join our family. And by Smith Boys Marine, now with 3 locations. If it isn't a Sea Ray from Smith Boys, you've missed the boat. Guests receive a gift from Sibley's Fine Jewelry, who feature Pulsar. The world knows a great watch when it sees one. Pulsar, fine jewelry at Sibley's. Transportation provided by Royal Coach Limousine Service. Ride in luxury for any occasion.